All right, we are live. Turn this just a little bit. All right, so I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said to me, "Hey, man, you should tell people your secret, how to be a good dungeon master." And I said, "Well, I am pretty good at it. So here are my secrets. First and foremost, uh, let me just say this is my secrets to success. Everybody has their own thing they do. I get it. It's all about imagination. But there are certain things that are universal in that, and people will tend to want to play less with you if you break the golden tenets. So let me first say that the rules are simple. As a dungeon master, storyteller, doesn't matter. If you're the guy in charge, it's not your story. It is their story. So your purpose in the story is to guide it. So that being said, a lot of people like to flaunt their power and authority. Hey, I'm the DM. I can do anything. I've got God power. And they punish the players. Now, when I say punish the players, I mean, they'll kill the players off, or they'll cause them some grief or harm or something to kind of let the player know, hey, I'm the guy in charge, not you. And see, that's kind of counterproductive to me, because the whole purpose is the people are doing the adventure. It's not the dungeon master's adventure. It's not the guy that says, this is what the monsters are. Well, they're blowing through that. Let me go ahead and fix that. Let me change that. Make it a little bit more difficult. If you have to punish your players because they're outthinking you, you shouldn't be the dungeon master. That's my thing. There's things that you do, like, for example, if your players are just running amok in a town and like, I'll do what I want to because, I'm a barbarian. Okay, well, the town fucking, sorry, effing, woo-wee. So the town sheriff, law, whatever you want to call him, the toughest guy in town, walks up and smacks you. You wake up in the jail cell and all of your belongings are gone, and your friends are like, well, I didn't even get to roll initiative. No, you didn't. You don't need to alter the story anything other than just all right, look, you wake up in a jail cell. Guy says, look, man, I don't know where it is you come from, but here we act like we're adults and we don't treat people like crap. You know what I'm saying? You best just, pull a John Rambo on them and tell them, grab your gear and get the hell out of town. So there's that. Keep the party focused on what they want to do. Like, for example, I like to start most of my games off in basically a Lord of the Rings prancing pony type of moment. Like, hey, you were given a contract. The guy said, hey, I heard you were an adventurer and I was told to bring you this contract. And basically it's kind of like a Shrek summons. Guy wants to send some adventurers off into a quest, and some may die. He is willing to accept that, so that's why he sent for like a bunch of them. So as you're sitting here, you're chilling, minding your own business. You're in the club. You're either being Strider and Aragon, whatever you want to call him, and chilling in the corner and watching, or you kind of get a feel for who your most boisterous or flamboyant character will be, and you say, this person walks in loud and obnoxious and make sure everybody knows he's here to collect this reward. The rest of you can just go ahead and bail because it's not going to be worth your time waiting around for him to be successful. This sets the tone with the group because it allows the group dynamic to then begin and determine who actually is going to take the lead. If the guy's like, look, I'm just loud and obnoxious and I could beat the crap out of things, he's not going to be the leader. He's just going to be the bruiser. He's going to look to a leader for something else. Maybe it's a mage steps forward and takes it, or no one's going to trust anybody that's a thief. They're going to say, nah, you can just be here, but you ain't in charge of stuff. You ain't in charge of nothing. But it allows the group to build that dynamic. You don't tell people who's in charge of what. Now, a fatal flaw is the NPC. Here's the thing about NPCs. My NPCs, I learned back because there was a game called Mage the Ascension. And what I did with my NPCs is if there was a necessity to have someone interact with the group and basically pop in and say, hey, look, you guys are making a horrible mistake, and I would highly recommend you stop doing that right now because this is going to cause people to die. And then he'll leave. He may answer a few questions, hang out, comment on something, give them a tip or a clue, but, this brush is almost dead. I need a new brush. It's going to suck. It might give them a little bit of insight on where they need to go next, get them back on track, But the whole thing is to not say you must or you have to or this. Giving people deadlines and ultimatums, it's less adventure and more tedium for them. It's no longer an adventure, it's a job. It's a mission, And nobody wants to run missions. People want to have fun. So, going back to it, what you do is you give them options. My favorite is the good, better, best. When someone's asking your NPC, say, well, this could happen, and you give them the most horrendous possible event that you could imagine. And then as they are, contemplating their demise, you say, or this could happen. Say it all depends on how you guys respond to, oh, wow, I got to go because it's going to happen here soon. But you guys got to respond to something. I'll see you guys later if you make it. I'm pretty sure I'll see you guys later. And then you bounce, and you leave it vague. You leave it like they need to figure it out now. That's the whole purpose is when you're the DM, it's guiding that story, let them tell the story. Because to be honest with you, the interaction with the people and how they do their stuff is really what I enjoy. And despite people saying that, I'm a good DM or something, I'm not. I just kind of focus a conversation. And it's all about storytelling. So the people that aren't very good at storytelling, they will hang back and be less quiet or less vocal. However, they will be way more analytical because they'll be listening to everything and soaking in the details. So it's always fun, man. I love it. Now, let's talk rewards. Monty Hall. I don't know if I'm the only one old enough to know who Monty Hall is, but back in the day, there was a TV show, a game show, and the whole purpose of the game show was, for people to be successful. So this Monty Hall guy, he would just give away prizes. That's all. You just showed up to the game show and you giving away prizes. There wasn't really a game to it. It was just a show up and get gifts. So if you're going to give your guys something, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of encourage the One Ring effect as well. I'm going to reference Lord of the Rings a lot for this. So I also encourage the One Ring effect in that, you know, give them a magic item that's semi-useful, more of a hindrance when it's used than useful when it's used, but it is a useful magic item. You know what I'm saying? You want to do that because if there's a hardcore or a even horribly uncomfortable repercussion for using that magic item, it won't be taken advantage of. And that's the whole thing with magic items is, you know, they require energy, they require power, they require a source, all of that. So you can't just, you know, it's not like a Harry Potter wand where you just randomly sling crap out of it because of the because of the inflection or accent in your voice. You know, weird. But yeah, you can't just give them random stuff. Like one of my favorite things is, all right, well, hey, every time someone drinks from this, you know, there's a flask. And every time someone drinks from it, it can cure it'll cure anything. You know, you can't pour it over a wound and it'll heal the wound, but you know, if you're sick, you know, and you drink it, you'll feel better. Well, you know, you roll a random dice on the random effects chart every time. It could be anything from horrible flatulence that's going to interrupt the conversations and cause the characters to change the dynamic of their story play, or it could be, you know, rashes and blemishes that, you know, other people would look at and scream infected and hurl rocks and stones at you. You know, it'll change the dynamic of how the characters have to play, make them less enthusiastic to use that thing just arbitrarily. So, you know, things like that. That's how you get your players invested in their story, you know. And not everybody gets a magic item. Not everybody gets one. Everybody wants one, but you know, no. I mean, you know, if magic items were just, you know, like, oh look, here's one. Oh no, wait a minute, here's one that's kind of like it but better. You know, that it kind of defeats the purpose of them. Not everybody needs a magic item. Sometimes people just start with a stick and a rock, you know. I read one of those Dragonlance books long time ago. It was talking about this dwarf who was set out on his own, outcast or whatever. It's for whatever reason he was out in the middle of Chewbacca with nothing. So he basically found him a rock, got him a stick, fashioned him a stick and a rock hammer, found an ore vein, managed to get some ore, built a fire, built a small forge, built a small hammer, used that to build a pick. And he went through the process, and it talked about how it took him months to be able to make an actual hammer that he could use in a fight. And he said, as I looked back and saw all the tools I made, I thought to myself, so much effort for just one little item. And I kind of applied that to how everybody else should be playing in my games. Is nothing is free. You have to earn what you get, but you do get rewards based off of your performance, you know? So like I will start one person with specific abilities. Like if there's going to be a magic user, I'll say, okay, you can have this option, and this is a one-time and one-time only option. And you have to make the decision right here, right now. Are you willing to trade any stats, strength, constitution, dexterity, for wisdom or intelligence? Which means I would let them say, okay, well, when you roll your dice, I don't play you roll 5 and drop the low 2 or re-roll once. No. Nobody starts special. Everybody gets the old school first edition D&D rules. you roll 3 dice. If you have like a less than I think it was an 8, I will let you re-roll the 3 dice. But that's the only thing. If you get a 9, you got a 9. And I will let the characters, instead of going from the top to the bottom, I would let the characters choose where their stats go. You know, that'll help their particular class they're looking for. That puts everybody on a very base playing field. It makes them start from scratch, and it makes people have to think more dynamically about the decisions they make. So that is the key. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Nuln Oil and I'm going to go through and do all of these seams on here, because when I go to paint this, I want those seams to stand out more. So they need to be darker inside there. Now, Nuln Oil is very black. It's very dark, and it is very unforgiving. So if you are doing this, you need to be very careful about not getting it all over your white, because it's not going to ever come out. I don't care what anybody says. It never comes out. You do just a little bit right down there. And this will allow me to differentiate where the armor plate lines are and where these streaks are. So when I do these streaks up there in the top of the carapace, I don't want these blending in and just looking like, you know, is that part of the armor? I want it to be distinctive. So we'll go through and reline all of these little seams. And I'm not going to use this brush anymore because it's too big. We will reline all of these seams. And my daughter's over there dying of COVID still, apparently. There we go. Need to clean up my area and get my brushes squared away. But anyway, so that was almost a bad idea. So you're going to give your guys magic items, treasure, and loot. Now, give them something to strive for. You know, the warrior should never have a +5 Holy Avenger, you know. You should never have the, what was that cartoon, Dungeons and Dragons? You know, I liked that cartoon, but I did not like the fact that everybody's magic item complemented them perfectly. Thought that was kind of cheap, you know. I think your magic item shouldn't be a boost to you. Because let's face it, if you're starting out at level 1, where everybody should start out because you want your guys to grow, would a level 1 person leaving a monastery have, you know, the most sacred artifact from the monastery? Would the monks really give that to just a plebe? No. Not even a little bit. So I might have to take off here soon. That might be my daughter actually trying to tell me to take her to work and my grandson to daycare. But anyway, I digress. So, you know, if a person at level 1 has a magic item, it should be a Frodo Baggins, you know. The hell is this? What does it do? I don't understand anything about it. It makes no sense to me. And I need to either learn how to use it or get rid of it. And that is how you get the players to determine what their story is going to be. I mean, you know, like I said, everybody's going to have their own little way they do things. But it has to be fun. No one likes being told what they're going to do. especially if you're in a fantasy game, because that's where people who normally get told what they're going to do get to live out their fantasies of not being told what they're going to do. If you're going to be the DM and you want to just be a god, it's like I don't know. Now, let's get into the next thing. Consistency. I was recently playing D&D with a buddy, and I didn't understand that the game that they were playing was based off a series of books. I mean, I kind of knew it. They used the idea from some books, but I was not aware that it was the books. If you didn't read those books, there's no way you knew what the heck was going on. So, the premise was there's this weird disease and it turns people into zombies. It's okay. I got it. Well, so we're in a graveyard and I'm like, let me see this thing. And he's like, well, this mist comes out like it tries to grab your hand, make a save. It's like, really? Like I walk up and okay, sure. So I make the save. I'm good. And we're cruising on along. And then he's like, yeah, it's airborne. I'm like, I thought it was a mist that we could see. And he's like, no. Okay. So then later he goes, no, it's spores. These spores are floating around. It's like, dude, you have to be consistent. And I noticed that the reason he changed it was we as a group developed okay, well, if we do this and this and this, we ain't got to worry about this thing at all anymore. We basically neutralized that threat, and he punished the group for it by making things more difficult. Like we had an instance where there was a building and some stuff happened, and as we approached, I said, well, I'm going to go out, check out the back because, the guys up front are being the whole boisterous, loud guy. So I went and looked around back, and he said, there's a mage and a couple guys jumping out the back windows. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to cast this and I'm going to try to run. He's like, well, okay, well, it failed. And this person throws a fireball at you. I'm like, wow, that escalated quickly, but okay. So we do our thing, and we're using that roll D20 thing. So it's not like I was able to cheat, and I did some pretty phenomenal rolling and, hey, I'm going to do this and this. And I got out of the situation. And basically I was able to neutralize at level. I was level 1. I was level 1 and I was able to neutralize a level 8 mage throwing fireballs. So I was like, well, and we killed all the other guys and it was amazing. So the way it played out was pretty funny. Well, we had the mage unconscious and one of the other persons ran away. And I was like, hey, I'm going to interrogate this guy. And they were like, oh, I was like, why are you here? And he looks at you and says, we're just tourists. What the hell are you doing? And I was like, look, okay, I'm going to tell you this one time only. Don't play games with me. I'm not this isn't a back and forth. If you are not important, you've already tried to kill us. If you're not important, I'm going to kill you. So I'm going to ask you one more time, what are you doing here? And he goes, the guy smiles smugly and says, we're tourists. I said, okay. I slice his throat. And I said, his eyes widened like, holy crap. And I walk over, I grabbed the mage by the hair and I put the knife to her throat. And I said, why are you here? He goes, well, the mage is unconscious. I'm like, all right. So I leave the mage there. We start talking and they start investigating. Well, he gets upset and tries to bring some more guys back, but we end up killing them. And then I say, you know what? I'm just done with this. I'll walk over and I just kill the mage, slice her throat. And he was so angry because he kept saying, you pissed the mage off, she doesn't have to put up with your bull crap. And it's like, dude, we found a way around what you were doing and you didn't like it and tried to punish us for it. And then we got around the punishment, and that set the tone for the whole rest of the event. Like, I wouldn't go into the building for any reason. I'm like, I ain't going in there. I'm like, I ain't going in there. There might be spores, fungus, clouds, mists, tendrils. Don't know, but I'm the healer, and I'm going to hang out back here and just watch you guys and see what happens. I'm going to take notes. So, I even convinced the paladin. I was like, look, you got a magic shield that's going to protect you. Just run and jump and slam into that gnomish safe and set off the trap. So she did, and basically everybody was stuck in place. Now, here's the thing. I tell you all of that not because of poor storytelling or anything else. I tell you that because of the NPC factor I brought up earlier. So he, sorry, I'm letting paint dry, so it's not so fun for you guys to watch. So anyway, he he has an NPC in the group that is an active player in the group, which is weird because, you know, it's the NPC. But anyway, he says, this guy makes a